true. It wasn't something overnight for sure. It was at first I I refused to do that because I was scared. So I insisted on doing my business development thing. And actually I was hopping jobs for 5 times in 2 years.
Wow.
Because yeah. Because I resisted that calling, but also I didn't like my current job, so I keep changing, hoping for something better to come along, but nothing. And at the same time, I tried the freelance way. I tried to find freelance jobs so that I could, sustain myself financially, and find more freedom in my work. So somehow along that direction, I realized at some point when my freelance career worked out, at some point I figure, oh, if I could do this, if I could be independent from corporate work, if I already have a financial foundation now, if I'm already free now, I already moved to Hoi An, then maybe I can take one more step, and maybe I can try to learn to be a coach. It felt really crazy back then, but because I've taken smaller step before that, that now I felt a little bit more possible toward making a big turn. So that's how it was a more gradual process than a big change, just as you said.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of people suffer from that. And we talked about it in other podcasts. This imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? And when am I good enough? Am I deceiving myself? Am I going to embarrass myself? And I think you're very honest there. That it's just it's a process, and it's little micro steps,
Mm,
and you build upon each step, and you gain a little bit more confidence. But it's definitely a process that takes time. For some people, quicker, and for some people, longer. It took me years to
mm,
overcome imposter syndrome. I was taught, you should fake it until you make it, as a common phrase in the states. Man, I felt like I faked it for like a decade before I finally felt somewhat confident. So I really and this is important because I know a lot of women in Vietnam and men suffer from imposter syndrome. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's fear of there's a lot of shame, and not, I want to say shame, but in our culture, there's a thing about protecting your face, saving face, that is, and
yeah,
not wanting to put yourself out there and take personal risk.
yeah,
And so I can understand, and I know a lot of people who are in the community face this all the time. And we hear that all the time, actually. I mean, we heard that from some other guests, and I think it's a widely faced issue by many people.
mm,
And so I really appreciate you sharing this fear of not being good enough. And what do you know if you're good enough, right? And so and what are the initial people that you put your work out? What are they going to say? And unfortunately, that I'm sure you're very confident in yourself in the sense that you didn't let any maybe initial and negative reactions kind of deter you from what you saw yourself becoming over time.
well, when I first put out like the first launch, like the first invitation to people to take up my coaching offer, there were several inquiries, and some of them were positive and some of them were like, do you have a coaching certification? What kind of qualifications do you have? And back then when I first started, I did not have any coaching certification or any coaching
Right.
qualification because I feel like I'm a business person at heart.